Hey guys, welcome back to Telltale. I'm Emily.
I'm Greg.
And today we are going to be discussing a fairly new book, which we don't get to do often.
No.
We don't often do books about authors who are still alive. And who we've also met in person now, which is delightful.
Mm-hmm.
So we are actually going to be discussing Dead 11 by Jimmy Juliano. And we actually had the pleasure a couple weekends ago of meeting Jimmy Juliano in person at the Awkward Nerd Book Fair in Milwaukee, which was a super fun event. There were fun cocktails, lots of vendors, authors talking about their books, reading excerpts from their books, and he was just a delight to meet. So really nice person.
And I saw this is October 1st, we're recording this. I saw just yesterday he was at the library in Kenosha. They had a book fair.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, he lives in that area.
Of authors there to Nosferatu's coming back.
Yeah, he keeps wanting to snuggle.
There were a number of authors down in Kenosha signing books, and he was one of them for that. And the cat's going to totally mess up our
Get off
audio.
of my laptop, little buddy. Anyway.
Okay. So, yeah, he's been going around signing books, and we got ours signed when we went to Milwaukee, but we got this. How we got onto this is Emily had been saying to me she wanted to read more books that are set in Wisconsin or by Wisconsin authors. And so we read Macedonia. That was the one she came to me with, Macedonia by Clifford Simak, because that's the whole story is set in Wisconsin, and Simak is from Wisconsin.
Yes.
And so we did that one, and so then I saw actually at our local Two Rivers bookstore, the Paper Crane books.
Yep.
They posted on their Facebook page that they had copies of this, and I saw that it was flying off the shelves there. And I looked up and read the synopsis of it and thought, well, it's set in Door County, Wisconsin,
Which is not far from us. About an hour drive from here.
About an hour north of us. And actually in an area that the influences on this book are very much, he's influenced by the way that Washington Island is. It's an island off the tip of Door County. And a lot of what he talked about Washington Island could apply to a lot of Door County and places like Algoma and Two Rivers as well.
Where they're kind of like these areas that are so historic that they look like they haven't changed for decades.
And you don't have big box stores around.
It's all still
So
small groceries,
it's all small local
boutiques.
businesses.
Yeah.
Everybody seems to know everybody. And there's a lot of
dive bars.
It's like stepping back in time. And a lot of the communities around here, and that's what I like about them, is it's like going out to Massachusetts, the out by
New England in general. I find that there's a lot of New England that just hasn't changed.
I'm struggling for the word. It's the area that goes out
Rhode Island?
Below Boston. It goes out and around, and you have Provincetown on the end.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah.
You're fine.
But, the kinds of towns like Provincetown is. Now, we don't get the huge tourism, of course, but just that feeling like you've stepped back into time to this old-time fishing village and, the ancient graveyards you have around there. You got
or New Orleans is just such a time warp
here.
Yeah, and so we kind of we do get that a lot, especially up in Door County, where a lot of it is protected by the community, where they don't allow a lot of those big box stores and stuff in because there is such a unique quality to those areas because of how boutique-y they are, because of the cute old-timey cottages, because of the historically protected buildings and areas. Yeah. And a lot of it, too, is because a lot of it became like national wildlife preserves and historic preserves because of the Native American population that was there and the significance of their history that we're trying to protect. Not that we've always been perfect as humans in protecting their history, but there is a greater effort towards it now than there has been in the past, especially in Wisconsin. So, the book. I love this cover. It's pretty awesome. I love that it's a VHS tape, kind of torn off a little bit.
Yeah, it does kind of
It's rated
relate
R.
to the story.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely relates to the
Yes.
story.
So Harper, who is a sports writer for mostly college stuff,
Athletics.
his sister goes missing. And she's kind of been a little unstable because she just ended up separating from her husband, and their son died, and it caused strain on their relationship. So she quit her job, started having some hysterics, and weird things happened to her. So her husband left her, and they separated, and she becomes fixated on finding this community called Clifford Island, which she tried to research. She actually found the name Clifford Island in her dead son's bedroom.
In the dust
On the floor. And she just loses her mind trying to figure out what this is and trying to figure out how it connects to her dead son. And so she goes there. And she integrates herself into the community, and she gets a job as a youth pastor sort of thing, or youth administrator for the church, even though she's not religious, and just starts integrating herself into the community, only to come to realize that everybody's still acting like it's 1994, specifically 1994, because she sees people are watching like the O.J. Simpson car race every night, thus the VHS tape on here. And like there's people who do the same thing every day, like a guy who walks through town with a boombox on his shoulder playing the same song.
Yeah, always classics.
Yeah.
Classic rock.
And so and she has some situations that feel paranormal, but she feels like she may just be losing it because she's a grieving woman and she's had a lot of change go on in her life, and she's in a new place, and it feels weird. And so it's kind of this set up as this collection of letters that the missing woman Willow has written, perspectives from Harper as he's trying to figure out where she's went, transcripts of text messages between an islander named Lily and her boyfriend Connor, who lives in Sturgeon Bay and off island. And you get tidbits of these interesting urban legends over time about what is actually going on this island and why it is the way it is. And that it's not just this island that has had a lot of this stuff happen, it's other islands. And I don't want to do any spoilers in this just because it is a new book. If it was a classic, we would spoil, as we often do, because some of our books have been around for hundreds of years, but I don't want to spoil this one because it's really, really good.
I will say this much. The woman and her brother, later when he goes up there, they find out from the locals that they sometimes see dead things.
Yeah, like people
and
come
when
back
somebody
dead.
sees a dead thing, they themselves disappear.
Yes, so this is what I would classify as a psychological thriller cult, supernatural cult book. Because it's got all the, it's like, do you know, what is that SNL skit? This is the hottest club in New York. It's Stefan, the character Stefan, who talks about the hottest club. I feel like this is the hottest club of books. It's got everything. It's got demons. It's got cults. It's got church people in charge of cults. It's got dead things resurrecting and undead. It's got islands.
It's got people watching OJ.
Yeah, people watching OJ getting chased down by the police. People who can't have cell phones. So there's a lot going on in this book, and it's so much of it is so well crafted. I feel I really enjoyed this book. I'm putting it as a top tale. This is not the most, like, we're used to classics that are very high literature. This has very simple language compared to a lot of the Purple Pro kind of stuff that we read. But it is such a compelling storyline and such compelling characters and interesting characters that I didn't miss the Purple Prose at all. It's very factual. It's written very factually, plain English kind of stuff. But it is so well done.
Yeah, it's very well written. And this is the guy's first novel. He's written for stuff online, and I'm trying to remember what he said. He works as a teacher.
Yeah, he's a teacher and does this. He has more that he wants to do. So other books in the works. So we're excited for that.
Yeah.
Jimmy, if you're watching, because I know you said you would see if we would watch it, and if you're not, that's okay. You're busy, man. But if you are watching, how does it feel to potentially have outlived your greatest work? Let us know. I mean, I always feel bad for authors when they have their first novel is so big. And then they have to, like, continue this career after having gotten to this point. Hopefully they have more that becomes more popular than this, but there's always, I think, that concern with authors that you may be the author who just outlived their greatest work.
Well, and it has been licensed by Netflix and A24.
Excellent.
They want to make it into,
as they should,
hopefully a movie, not a series.
Even if it was a miniseries, I wouldn't mind it.
Miniseries, but if they tried to make a series with multiple seasons, it's like, I think it would play out
just
too
do a
fast
miniseries. Some of the best things were miniseries. I loved Dinotopia. But anyway.
So yeah, he's making a big splash with his first novel, and hopefully that's a sign of great things to come.
Yes, I'm very excited for the rest of the things.
Favorite author of mine.
Yes, I'm very excited to see what comes
next.
And
a really nice guy too.
Yeah, just a really lovely human.
Love listening to him talk.
Yes, it was lovely to meet him, and he did say he would perhaps see if our channel would talk, like maybe follow or maybe like just.
He saw my pictures of the book on Instagram.
Excellent, excellent. So he's really into his fan base too, which is, I think, a big plus for authors. Authors who are not excited about that their fans are excited are not in it for the love of the craft, honestly. But this was a fantastic read.
Yeah.
I loved it. Great spooky season starter if you want something that's not a classic and is a fairly recent release. Go for it.
And as far as the Wisconsin side of it, yes, it was set in an island off of Door County, but the island doesn't exist, and the other two islands
or
don't
does
exist.
It? Anyway.
Okay.
Or does it? Anyway.
There are a lot of islands off of Door County, and I looked them up online, and most of them are very small. Most of them are owned by one person.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of private islands up there.
There's one that's owned by a logging company.
All right.
And there's a couple of islands off Door County that are really just like rock beds.
They're nature.
Sometimes they're underwater, and when they're above water, all the birds love it, so they tell you to stay away from it because of the guano.
Yeah. Yep, there's a lot of bird poop out there. That, and it also protects the birds because, we have a lot of species that are becoming endangered now.
Yeah.
So it's just wise to let them be.
But there are a lot of islands up there, and some of them do have to have lighthouses because of the rocks in the water around the islands.
Yes.
Where ships have to be careful navigating past them, or they'll end up on the bottom of the lake. We've got a lot of that.
Yes, we have a lot of shipwrecks along our shores here in Wisconsin, which is also great fuel for a potential horror story. Dropping hints to anyone, including Jimmy. So yeah.
But I do feel the community describes on this island, of course, goes a lot farther than what you're going to find in normal Wisconsin small towns. But I think he captured Wisconsin small town pretty good.
We are. I feel like because of our Germanic heritage, we take a lot of pride in our property, and we are very possessive of our communities and what we allow within them and what we don't.
And we do have some extreme religious groups up there.
We do have some extremists. And of course, Wisconsin is also the #1 state from which most serial killers come from. So we do have this inner darkness that, whether or not we like it, we have an inner darkness in this state. And we do have a lot of cool Native American lore. And that sort of thing that can be played off of.
And there's a lot more fuel for horror stories, like the college out in, what's that town?
Oh, St. Nazianz?
Yeah.
Yeah, the old monastery
very
and
haunted.
Boys' school. Very haunted.
I've been there. I didn't see anything.
I have had a paranormal experience there.
But it's just creepy to look at.
It is. It's this old, dilapidated campus. with lots of churches and
religious group
chapels.
that currently owns it, and they were telling me that there's a lot of like underground passages that you can't go into because they're too dangerous, but they used to be used. So it's fuel for a really, really cool horror novel.
Yes, we do have a lot of haunted locations. There's in Kiwani, there's a hotel in Kiwani that's a time warp in and of itself. You walk into it and you feel like you've gone back to the early 1900s at least.
Well, there's the one you stayed in. That's supposed to be truly haunted too.
Which one?
In Manitowoc.
Which one in Manitowoc? Oh,
where they have the
Dead and
Dead
Breakfast.
by Dawn. Yeah.
Yeah. That building is also haunted. I didn't experience anything there, but it is said to be haunted. But the hotel in Kiwani has had a lot of paranormal investigators there. But it is a cool place in and of itself. Even if you don't stay in the haunted hotel room, it is still a very cool hotel. Cannot express enough. It's right by the water too, so it's breathtaking views of the lake and river that's going into it. It's really a nice place. Plus, there's a lot of cool antique stores and like lore and stuff in Kiwani and Algoma areas. So
and in Kenosha, you've got the Kemper Center, which used to be a nunnery and school. And there's all kinds of legends of ghosts in that place.
The old asylum in Sheboygan.
Yeah.
A lot of great haunted places. And not to mention all the shipwrecks, so our shoreline is probably very haunted. But yeah, so there's a lot of fuel for the fire, I think, especially in Wisconsin. We have a lot going for us. I feel like this captures a modern day urban legend kind of thing very well. And I just love the paranormal aspect to it as well. So it's up to you to decide whether or not you actually think it's happening.
The marketing for this book, when I got it, I thought it was going to be more of a just a straight up thriller, like a murder mystery, but with some paranormal elements. And I thought they were going to be like Scooby-Doo. It was going to turn out to be the mean guy that wants to grab somebody's money. So a bit of a spoiler there.
The paranormal is really paranormal.
Yeah, I didn't think it was going to turn out to be real, and I didn't think it was going to be as extensive as it ended up being later on in the book.
Yes.
It gets... Now, I read this at the same time that I read Doomakey by Stephen King. And both stories are about a guy that goes to an island, and the island isn't real, but it's in a location where there are real islands, and they run into some weird things happening.
Yeah.
That's kind of where it ends.
Yeah. Yes.
Doomakey is heavily influenced by Salvador Dali, which is cool.
Yeah.
And Stephen King has a style to his writing that is very Stephen King, that is brilliant, and is why he is the #1 horror author for the last 40 years. Jimmy Juliano doesn't have that style yet. Like you said, it's written a little more simply. He doesn't have the Stephen King edge, and he doesn't have the purple prose like you find in Lovecraft or Poe. He has more of a down-to-earth normal style, like you
which
a lot of other books.
And I think a lot of people would really enjoy that.
Yeah, and most people actually prefer that. But it does kind of keep this book from having quite the impact of like a Bradbury or King book.
Yes and no.
Yeah,
that's
how I felt too. It's like
I feel like it's so great and plot driven that I didn't miss some of that sentence crafting and detail work in the descriptions. I liked that it was plain language. It made it flow like normal.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes when I want that extra level of escapism, I like the purple prose because it takes me back to a different era. This one didn't, and that's because it really wasn't in another era. It's happening now, present day.
But
but it's
that long ago.
It's still normal people talking a normal way. You know, like they're still having influence from the outside world. Like they aren't completely cut off from it.
As opposed to all of us before 1994 who are not normal.
Yes, but I liked it because it's small town America. It's feels small town America holistically.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think I appreciate about it, and I didn't miss all that purple prose and stuff like that. I don't think it needed more of an edge. The plot gave it. That's my opinion, though.
And, when I say not more of an edge, I kind of mean more how King gets into his characters, and his characters are they got lots of problems.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get that here. The characters have a lot less problems. I mean, yeah, they have
a lot of problems, but they have to keep a lot of secrets, so you don't get to know what their problems actually are. I think that's the key to this story.
Yeah.
Is it leaves that sense of mystery, which adds to the how unnerving it is.
But there's that inner psychology that writers like King get into and Poe get into that I don't think he gets into that so much. It's a little more outer than inner.
Maybe.
But
they're also brainwashed.
That's not a bad thing.
Yeah, they're also brainwashed.
Yeah.
So maybe they don't allow themselves to have that. Just because
But the outer things that are going on are, wow.
Yeah. There's a lot externally going on, and it is a fast read.
I had to tell Samantha that she probably shouldn't read it because she's triggered by some of the things that are in this. But,
supernatural stuff
that's the other
real
thing
freaky.
You don't get. You don't have sex scenes. You don't have...
It's pretty tame.
You don't have descriptions of people getting their limbs ripped apart.
I mean, they sort of have that. Sort of. In the description of the
not
dead
as
things.
much as what you get from other horror
I suppose,
writers.
yeah. It's not as... Like, I have no problem giving this to a young adult reader.
Yeah.
I would have no problem giving a young adult reader this
book. As long as
book.
they're not prone to nightmares from horror.
Even if they were, they deserve it. No. Teenagers suck! No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. But they can be pain in the asses and sometimes deserve that. But yeah, I could have no problem giving this to.
No kids.
I have no children, because...
Except cats.
Yeah, my cats are my children, but they're independent by the time they're 3 months old. So, but yeah, great book.
It is. It's amazing.
I could go on, but it still would just be broken
It has
record.
been selling well. Like I say, it's impressed Netflix and A24. It's his first novel.
And he started on Reddit.
Yeah.
Yeah, No Sleep Reddit.
And we decided to give it a try, and wow, I wasn't expecting
Very
it to
impressed
be this
with it.
good.
Very happy.
It really is a great book.
So yeah, definitely recommend
run out
it.
and buy it.
Get it.
Read it.
Read it.
This is the time.
All the things.
This is the season for a book like this.
It's spooky season. So yeah, this is a great spooky season read. Especially if you live in Door County. Be afraid. Be very afraid. The darkness is coming. But yeah. That's all I got to say. Got any more?
Me too. No, that's enough.
Go read it. Thanks for joining us. Let us know if you've read it, how you liked it, any critiques you have of it. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.